Before Jamie and I began recording a new episode of the Love Sweetie podcast this morning, we did what we always do, which is catch up on how our week was going, and we began talking about the tragic historical event that occurred this week, the assassination of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. We clicked the record button and just allowed our thoughts on the matter to flow, and what followed was a sad but cathartic experience. We needed to get our thoughts on this expressed, and we did not feel it was appropriate for this content to appear in a regular episode of the Love Sweetie podcast. So we are sharing our emotions with you, the listener, in this separate video, as we, who each week present a podcast about history, look to these current events, knowing that what just occurred this past week represents an extremely concerning moment in the history of our country.
But something like informal.
Yeah.
I cried for like 2 days.
Yeah.
You know, I was at this feels like a JFK moment. This feels like a 9/11 moment. You know, it feels like one of those, like, you know where you were. I took the kids to the library, and I was looking at books while Forrest was playing, and I actually took one out. I took out the book, the Lost Books of the Old Testament, because I've been wanting to read the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
And so, like, and he describes like heaven. He actually went to heaven and described it, and then came back down to earth and then wrote about it. And so that's not in the Bible. So, but I went and got that, and then I came home and I found out Blair White had posted something. She's like, I don't know why they did it. Like, she ended up deleting it.
Yeah.
But that was how I found out that it had happened, and then I saw the videos.
Yeah. The videos that you can't unsee.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I actually wasn't feeling well that morning. So I'd started the day, like, not in a great space. And I thought, oh, I'm feeling better. This is good. I get a text message from a friend, and one of my oldest friends from, like, college. I don't think, well, you met her. Yeah, Jen. And she won't mind that I said that, actually. She won't. And all she said was, like, Charlie Kirk. And, when you get, like, a name and a text message, it's never a good thing. Like, unless you're expecting it, it's like, oh, you immediately are like, oh no, what happened? And then what was shocking was there was this 5-second video, which, like, like when you watch a video and you're like, you're like, oh, I don't want to see that. Like, you realize before the thing happens in the video what you're probably about to see, and you can make a conscious choice of, like, scrolling past because you don't want to see that. Well, this video was too short to do that. By the time your brain caught up to you with this is probably what this is going to show me, the thing is already shown, and then you can't unsee it. And then you're like, nah, I didn't just see that. So then it just loops, because also these videos, these shorts just loop unendingly. And I'm like, it's gotta be CGI, but the quality was, like, really bad. I'm like, CGI doesn't have bad quality like this. They said he was dead. And then it started with people who just don't care about human life posting nonsense online. And I was just telling Jamie before we clicked record, this is the first time that, like, acquaintances I've known for decades, I just quietly unfriended them. And that occurred over the next couple of days until when we're recording this at this moment, and I will continue to unfriend people. I usually like to hear the other side, and try to just weigh everything, what everybody's saying. But there's a certain level of hate that even I'm just not tolerant of. And I'm like, I don't need that in my life. If that's your mentality, like, I don't need to talk with you. I don't need to have you as a correspondent. Like, what happened in Utah with Charlie Kirk, who was, like, the most open guy that was willing to debate between two sides and have civil discourse, regardless of what the content of that discourse was at various times with various people. It was always civil. It was always with a smile on the face. And at a college campus, no less, in broad daylight. There's nothing for it. I knew when I saw that 5-second video. And as a historian, I watch and I see, like, photos from the old days of a lot of pretty gruesome stuff, especially if you study, like, Civil War, like, all the Brady photos and like the stuff from like the French Revolution that survives and like stuff like that. You see some crazy stuff if you study like World War II, Nuremberg, you know, some public stuff that just like you can't unsee. And I try not to really look at it because we all know what the outcome is and what things happen. I knew when I saw that 5-second video that was unavoidable to turn your eyes away from before your brain caught up, that somebody had wanted as many people as possible to witness a public execution, a public assassination. And like, I've just been thinking about this nonstop and how heinous that act is. And it absolutely, Jamie, you're right. It's absolutely like the 60s. I'm not saying the people are the same characters involved. You had like, you know, MLK as civil rights leader, fighting for African American rights and people who were disenfranchised from the American dream. You had RFK Jr.'s father, right, who was running for president. You had JFK. When 9/11 happened, I was basically in the same classroom my dad was in when JFK was assassinated in high school. He was in high school in 63. And he still remembers where he sat. And that was the sitting president, you know. But this was not one of those figures. This was just a normal guy giving discourse that happened to have a huge online presence. And it hits us just as hard. And the intolerance of a significant number of people is just, it makes me really concerned about where this country's going. So,
I mean,
yeah.
There's no better way to say that. Like, you're right. What I have seen come out of people who, and what I've seen coming out of people who are celebrating the death of a father, and a husband, in front of his family. Like, and I don't want to post, like, I feel like stupid. I don't want to post a crying video. I think all of us are at the same place right now. Well, many of us are at the same place. This isn't a left-right issue anymore.
No.
This is between humanity and this is a spiritual war right now. I got rid of a lot of friends a few months ago. Then I think when this happened, I was like, I can see who would be posting about this, and like they're no longer, and it's just Facebook, you know, it's like Facebook is Facebook's whatever. But I didn't have that on my timeline. I didn't see personally any of my Facebook friends. I saw so many of them condemning this. Because he was killed not because of self-defense. He wasn't hurting anybody. But now there are people that feel that words are violence. And instead of accepting that they're wrong, or maybe their position isn't right, or maybe just like, well, he thinks this way, and I think a different way, so I'm going to move on with my life. No. He was shot. For what he said. You can't do that. This is we can't live in a world where something that you said is now a reason for somebody to kill you. That is not right. And if you don't see that, I don't care what kind of person you are. I don't care if you're on the left, I don't care if you're on the right, I don't care if you're a Christian, I don't care if you're a pagan, I don't care like what you do with your life. If you cannot see that killing somebody in front of their family because of something they said is wrong, this is a turning point right now. That is a big fat line that is easy to see from miles. You don't kill somebody because you don't like what they say. And the fact that I have to even say that, the fact that has to be something that is put out into the world because there's people who don't feel that way. You don't get to kill somebody because of what they say. Like, that's not right. If this person was, and I understand people are like, you know, there was threatening language, or, you know what, this is going to have the opposite effect, because oh man, I saw a story, Ohio State University held like a prayer vigil, and like 75 people gave their lives to Christ. It's just, so this is just, the good people are turning to God. And the bad people are making themselves known. This is between good and bad at this point.
I've seen a lot of people that are just really in the middle, which I think is the vast majority of society, that just don't even want to be involved with politics. that are just like unfriending people in droves and putting up videos about how they're just like, I can't believe we're at this point, because it was such a wake up for, I think, people that don't lean towards the right. Like, if you lean towards the right, you knew who Charlie Kirk was.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't expect my parents to know, right? Because they're just not on social media. They're not on TikTok. They're not really scrolling YouTube shorts where he was super popular. They're not college age kids like at a campus, you know. And like Mark Halperin, I watched the show Two Way. I actually recommend it to a lot of people. It's like the only, to me, like sane news show is the Two Way one, because it's Mark Halperin, who's really even as a reporter, and then he has one Republican, one Democrat, and like the one Republican is Sean Spicer and the Democrat is Dan Turrentine, and these are really like even guys, and they invite the audience in to talk, and it just feels like civil discourse, and the only show that's doing that. Mark Halperin, I think it was Mark, who said he didn't think right after this happened the next morning that the left, the people on the left, mainstream media and the rest, understood just how big Charlie Kirk was to the right. That this wasn't just a story that was going to disappear in 24 to 48 hours. And their underestimation, and it's like kind of not even intentional, because they just didn't know. They were in their silo. Just like I'm sure there's like Democrat and like left-wing speakers and big stuff like that I don't know about, that I don't follow.
Yeah.
But what was amazing to me was, I think he was so right about this, that like even the most moderate mainstream media that thought, oh, okay, this tragic thing happened, and then, on to the next news, like has no conception, because they've been in such a silo for such a long time, about just how big this is. And why people from the right were immediately comparing it to the 60s. Like, it's not about comparing the people involved. It's about the feeling, the reverberation through society that comes as a result of these events. And what a dark time after 68, and what a dark time we're clearly in right now. And like, I think that's going to be the thing, is when this does not go away. And, I was crying the last couple of days. It's been hard to sleep the last couple of days. And then last night, Erica talked, Charlie's wife. She gave her first public comment. And then I was crying more. And I don't know how she did what she did. Like, the strength of that woman, like, if we were all to have, the fortitude that she showed, and the grace last night. And yeah. And it hits in a different way. Jamie, I was so, like, we're both daughters. Like, to think about that. Stephen A. Smith said it the best way. I think Stephen A. Smith actually, like, his rant, if like someone who leans left wants to hear a perspective from someone on the left, listen to his rant that he put out. This is about humanity versus like monsters. Like,
And I didn't want to bring this into the podcast, because our podcast is supposed to we did have a little bit of a topical discussion.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do, but I didn't want to bring this into the podcast, because I didn't want this to sit in that episode. We're recording episode 74 today. 75. So we're recording episode 75 today.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to include this to sit with it. I didn't want to have the Charlie Kirk discussion, because we were going to have this discussion as libertarians, as people on the right, as people who understand. You and I understand that words aren't violence. Violence is violence. I wanted to have this talk and to like get these things out there, and honor him and Erica. Honor them both, because you're right. This is a turning point.
Yeah.
And people are getting, you're on a side, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And my side and your side, we know you do not kill people and execute people because of the things that they say that you don't like. Yeah. So afterwards, I just started cleaning my kitchen. I was cleaning my kitchen. I mean, I was on my knees a lot. But I started cleaning my kitchen and getting dinner and taking care of my kids, because that's how we fight. That's how we fight. Yeah. And we put this out too. I was hoping with this podcast that we could showcase the life that we used to have here in the United States.
Yeah.
And and
Mm-hmm.
show people like how things were, and like the problems that we have. Some of the problems we have
Yeah.
are always there, have always been there, like making sure that we can, eat, making sure that we live a good life and that we're warm and comfortable. Like
Yeah.
this is throughout history, and that we're all human. I really wanted to just bring a human element to history with Sweetie's story.
Yeah.
And maybe we need that reminder that we all are human.
Sweetie's letters, you know, I'm grateful that we get to spend so much time with such practical common sense, with her ability to just understand the human condition. That's the gift that like we keep trying to bring to the world each week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the name, right? She signs Love Sweetie. The name of the podcast is about love. And wow, we need so much more of that in the world right now. And a good dose of reality to a lot of people. My grandmother, Sweetie, was a Democrat. And she and Chester and everybody else would be horrified to see the state that the society is in right now. I look to my right and I see the letter that was written to Chester. This isn't a spoiler, people knew about it. Signed by President Truman. And like as libertarians, we kind of struggle with that guy because of what happened in 45.
Right.
And the decision he had to make in a wartime environment, understandably, and some of the decisions he made afterward. And that's always going to be there. That's just one of those things. But again, it's the battleground of ideas. My God, if anybody thought about the battleground of ideas and discourse, it's the people that wrote these letters. Jean, who we haven't heard from in the storyline yet, but we know she writes some stuff. And Sweetie and Chester, and it's always about love. And there's not enough of it today.
So there's really no good way to end this.
No.
Except to say, I'm going to continue to pray for this world.
Yeah.
And continue to stand on that principle.
Mm-hmm.
That we need to like have civil discourse. And
Yeah.
just keep on with what Charlie started.
Yeah.
And what Charlie embodied. And I hope that all of our listeners would do that to anybody who listens to this video. I mean, we had to talk about this.
Yeah.
So, but I love you, Allison. And I'm glad that we can sit there and do this together. So
and thank you for doing this project with me.
All right. Much love.